Welcome to Central News. I'm Hilary Entwistle. In today's news, a local man has taken out the title as the nation's best digger driver. James Lux from Papamoa won the title at the National Excavator Operator, winning against 11 other regional finalists. Part of the competition was pouring a cup of tea and adding sugar with a Hitachi excavator. Mr. Luck, who works as a digger driver on the TEL project, says he loves what he does as he gets to play with big toys all day.
Well, we're very lucky. The competition's sponsored by Cable Price, and so we get to drive what would be the best available digger on the market in New Zealand. And most contractors will tell you that the Hitachi is just a well-renowned, fantastic brand. So we got to drive brand new diggers supplied by Cable Price that were just a wonderful machine to operate.
The Waikato Regional Council's soil ecosystem services are gaining more attention as we realise how important soil is. The Waikato Regional Council's Soil Quality Monitoring Program measures soil properties such as soil compaction, nutrient status, biological activity and soil carbon at 145 sites, with about 30 sites each year sampled in the region. The main soil quality issues identified are compaction, excessive phosphorus and nitrogen on dairy and cropping land, and declining carbon on cropping land use. Bala Tikasiti of the Regional Council says soil is one of the most valuable assets that a farmer has, and there is plenty they can be doing to improve the quality of the soil.
Once soil becomes bare, that's where all problems start. So this is an important management practice. Managing complete soil cover and careful application of farm dairy effluent to avoid saturation and optimize organic matter.
Now for our region's weather for the weekend. Hamilton, your Saturday will be fine with light winds and your expected high is 23 and an overnight low of 8. Tauranga, your Saturday will be fine with light winds and a few sea breezes. Your expected high is 21 and an overnight low of 12. Hamilton, your Sunday will be much the same as your Saturday, fine with light winds. Your expected high is 23 and an overnight low of 9. Sunday for you, Tauranga, will be fine with light winds and sea breezes again. Your expected high is 22 and an overnight low of 14. Just ahead, effluent management. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. There have been a couple of fines handed down to farmers for poor effluent management recently. So I caught up with the Bay of Plenty Regional Council's Pollution Prevention Manager to find out how the situation is in the Bay and what are good ways to manage effluent. So first off, for those who don't know, what is effluent?
Well, effluent is essentially a liquid waste from a process or an activity. When we're talking about dairy effluent, it's a combination of feces and urine from the cow and also washed down water from the milking process and from the dairy yard.
What is the correct way that farmers are actually meant to dispose of effluent?
Well, farmers are, the best way to manage effluent is as per your consent conditions. Essentially that's, or normally that's an irrigation to pasture through some form of irrigation system or through a contract spreader.
Can you talk us through the basics of an effluent system?
The effluent system will be very much dependent on the individual farm. So you have to consider how many cows are actually being milked, the soil types on the farm, the slope of the land, the drainage, and there are a lot of industry advisors out there to give farmers the best advice of what's a suitable system. It's important to have low application rates to avoid runoff and to ensure that you have enough storage that farmers can get the effluent onto the land in the correct weather conditions.
If this is not disposed of correctly, what environmental impact can it have?
Well, if effluent isn't disposed of correctly, we get it in our, we have it in our streams, in our rivers, in our estuaries, which can have, impacts on the in terms of swimming, recreational use, drinking water, water for stock use. Also, dairy effluent has a particularly high ammonia content, which can cause effects on aquatic life. If it's strong enough, it can cause fish kills, and the actual nitrates in dairy effluent can cause algal blooms and contaminate groundwaters.
What are the legal repercussions if we don't dispose of effluent properly?
Well, if you're sticking to your consent and you have a good irrigation system in place and you're farming responsible, there are no sort of legal implications of having a good process. When effluent isn't disposed of correctly, then there is a potential, depending on the severity of the discharge, but for low levels of non-compliance, fines and at the top end, potential prosecutions.
Will the drought be causing any more problems with effluent management?
Well, at present, we're disposing of effluent onto land. I mean, the soil is quite dry at the moment, so there's quite a large soil moisture deficit, so it should be able to absorb more effluent onto the land. It's very difficult with these drought conditions, and a lot of farmers, unfortunately, would have had to dry off their cows, so they're not actually discharging effluent at present.
What is it that makes cows' effluent more recyclable other than other species?
Other species, have good fertiliser value. For example, horse manure, you can use it. I suppose what makes cows' effluent or waste quite easy is in that it's a liquid waste, and it's from a small area from the dairy shed, and you can actually easily collect that, in a pond system and spread it onto land.
Is it because they eat grass? Does it have something to do with their diet?
If you're thinking of human effluents, then there's potential for pathogens in that, which is not usually an issue for cow effluent if it's been irrigated onto land.
Is there a large problem in the Bay of Plenty?
No. In general, a lot of farmers are farming responsibly, and there isn't really a huge problem.
Are there laws that are specific to the Bay of Plenty region?
Well, in the Bay of Plenty, we have a regional water and land plan that sets out rules and policies about effluent disposal, and effectively those are translated in the consents that we issue.
Are there cases that stand out in particular that you can tell us about?
Well, this year has been quite a good year for farming. We've seen a good improvement. We have about 700 farms in our region. We inspected about 300 this season, and 74%, nearly 75% of farms were fully compliant with all their consent conditions. And in terms of the most significant discharges or non-compliant discharges, that actually decreased 3%. So it's been a good year. There's still improvement, to be done, but it's a good year.
So who does the responsibility lie with? Does it lie with the offending worker or the actual owner of the farm?
Well, the message we try to get at that everyone's responsible for knowing the consent. So all the way from the actual consent holder to the farm manager to the workers, we really, really want everyone to understand the conditions of the consent and how to abide by them.
What is the consent process around effluent systems?
Well, every consent looks at the adverse effects from say, the dairy effluent discharge on the environment and sets conditions in order to address those effects. In the Bay of Plenty region, we have a particular form for an application, and that is that requires certain amounts of information, and the consents team are happy to help farmers out through that. There are a lot of advisors, Dairy NZ and Fonterra, that can also help out. If all that information is supplied and the correct irrigation system is in place, it should normally take about less than a month to process.
So can members of the public report on bad effluent management?
Yes, we have a 24-hour hotline, a pollution prevention hotline, and members of the public can phone in about any incident or complaint. The number is 0800 884 883.
If you head to boprc.gov.nz, there is everything you need to know about effluent management and the services available, and of course the laws for the Bay of Plenty. Just ahead, the South Waikato. Welcome back. The South Waikato District Council's annual plan is up for submissions. I caught up with the Mayor to find out what the hot topics are.
Well, we are a safe community. Let's get that first of all right. South Waikato, Tokoroa, has the lowest crime rate in the Bay of Plenty. We get tagged with a bad name, but we actually do have that. So we have a particularly good relationship with our police. The police come along and speak to me at council every 6 weeks, and I have a good relationship with the police. We have a Safer Community Council. We actually have the 0800 graffiti. If you come into Tokoroa, you'll find there is no graffiti. And this is what the community, therefore, has stepped up with. You'll actually find our kids walking to school. You'll find ladies going out running in the morning at ring of light. So we know that we actually are safe. So we are a safe community. In terms of a healthy community, we're actually putting a lot of work into making quite certain we have good health services. And so right now we're bringing all our doctors together to work up at the hospital so we can save our hospital and make quite certain that health areas are absolutely important to us. Sustainable, and that's why at South Waikato we're actually there to convert 30,000 hectares of forestry into farmland. Now when that took place, council was well involved. We're not involved in terms of commercially, but making quite certain that best farming practices take place. So the environment becomes an important part. And of course, if you recognise, we have the Waikato River running right round our edges, and we're involved with the river trails and the River Authority, recognising that the mana and the majesty of that Waikato River has to be brought back. Historically, we haven't been very good at environment. I can think when I was first on the local government back in the 70s in Pataru, when we had the dump, as we called them in those days, the landfill, we planted a whole lot of trees around the edge of the dump. They died. And our answer was, let's find some trees that can handle it. We never thought about the leachate that was coming out. And now we've actually moved on so far that we've actually realised that we've got to have a sustainable, clean, green district. And this is what people know us for. And interestingly, driving over here today to see that little bit of rain, already we're greening up, and we'll be back to our lovely green, South Waikato in no time. And I've got people coming down to look at us and saying, hey, look how beautiful we are. It's taken us a little while to realise how great we are. 70% of New Zealand's bottled water comes out of Pataru because it's clean and pure. So when you pick up a bottle of pump or a bottle of Nature's Spring or Pam's water or anything else, realise you're drinking South Waikato water.
The draft annual plan is out, and this is part of the local government reform. So what are some of the key areas in that?
In our annual plan, a lot of it's business as usual. But we also are recognising that we have to face some of the challenges that the local government reform is going to bring to us. And one of those is the possible threat of amalgamation. I am no fan of amalgamation Auckland style, so let's get that on the table. I can talk about alliances, I can talk about shared services, I can talk about other areas, but pure amalgamation. And therefore this worries us because my council has the lowest debt level per head of population in the Waikato. So we are fiscally very good. We also have a $25 million investment account in bonds and property. Now my job is to make quite certain that a threat of amalgamation doesn't take place like in Auckland when the government froze everything and everybody threw in the things. I can think of some councils around that would love to get their hands on our 25 million. They ain't going to get it. And so that's one of the big questions we're saying, and we're doing a lot of work. Should it stay within council? Should we actually put it together in a special trust so it's only going to be available for the South Waikato, or should we sell it? Now I think to sell it be like selling the silver and then once it's gone, it's gone. But that's one of the questions we are going out to ask the people. So that's a big question to ask the people then. Hey, start thinking about, and the good part about it is, as we talk even about money, they're now starting to realise, hey, what else does amalgamation mean? Do we want to be taken over by the big boys? And the answer to that is no. Whatever takes place with local government reform, there must be local democracy and there must be the opportunity for community aspirations to take place. We've just built a $5 million sports and events centre. That's the envy of Hugh Verco, the envy of John Trigger, the envy of Julie. Everybody looks at that and thinks, how did we do it for $5 million? We did it because the mayor, the councillors, the community said we are going to do it. if we're amalgamated in a big area, would they be interested in building something like that in Tokoroa? And the answer is no. So community aspirations have to be recognised, and how are you going to get those? Amalgamation to a big boy running us from somewhere else won't give it to us. So I'm talking to Hugh Verco and John Trigger and say, can we create an alliance? Let's do things more efficiently, but keep local democracy and keep things so that we can do what we can do best.
Because you mentioned that $25 million investment fund. Have you had any public feedback on the three options that you're offering?
Well, that's what the annual plan's all about. The annual plan is now out. They've got till the 22nd. We are having 5 public meetings in Pataruru, Tirau, Arapuni, Tokoroa, Aitamuri, for people to come and say, hey, so we can explain it to them, give them the data, and then all the chance for them to make submissions. I can assure you, as I go around talking to people, they're saying, you've got to keep it for us. You know, someone will want to spend it because it sounds a nice idea, but that's not good future planning.
Visit southwaikato.gov.nz to view the annual draft plan and for submission forms. Stick around, because up next we meet the new breakfast crew. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Sadly, we said goodbye to Vinnie and Kurt last year, but this year there are some new kids on the block on the More FM Breakfast Show in Tauranga. And their listeners already love them. I met up with them to find out who they are and, of course, how they are finding living in the Bay. So you are a Tauranga boy originally. How's it been coming back?
It's been really cool. It's been amazing to come back. I didn't realise quite how much I'd missed it until we got back and got back to friends and family, and yeah, it's been awesome coming home.
Has it changed much?
Heaps. Like, the roads are the biggest thing. Just how easy it is to get around now with all the changes to the bridge and the expressways and things. So it used to be diabolical 5 years ago, and it's just great.
What experience do you actually have in the industry?
All sorts. Promotions, working in the admin side of things, working in the journo side of things, and then just for the last 5-6 years, it's been on air doing the breakfast show.
And what has some of the feedback been from the Tauranga listeners so far?
Really positive, really welcoming, which has been cool, and excited to have a new, fresh show to enjoy.
Did many people recognise you on your latest bike ride down the Strand?
No, no one recognised me. It was great.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was Bike Month. February was Bike Month, so we decided. We didn't decide. It was Belle deciding that I needed to be in a frock on a bike for Frocks on Bikes, and so she found me a lovely pastel number, and yeah, beautiful. It was. And then JB, one of the guys that works here with us, he provided the wig, which is interesting, a bit disturbing that he had one.
It was really strange.
Yeah. And then we thought, we'll go for a bit of a ride down the Strand, and yeah, absolutely no one recognised me, which was perfect.
So you both want to get in amongst our great community here a little bit more. And part of that, you actually went to the Otopi School. Tell me about what happened there.
Yeah, well, they had a Dunk the Teacher competition running up there where you had to throw the sponge at the pointy thing that made the bucket fall on top of you, and once again,
I decided that Brendan was going to have to substitute a teacher, so he did, and he got bucketed like 4 times. He was soaking wet, and then I got my payback and I did it too, so it was all good. It was all good fun, and it was a really awesome community thing to be involved with, so we had a lot of fun with it.
Now, you were actually part of the Manawatu Breakfast Show.
Yeah, I was for 4 years down there with Mike West and Gareth Pringles. So it was my first job at radio. I went there when I was 19 out of broadcasting school, and it was probably the best grounding I could have had, and they're an amazing team. So definitely launched me and ready to bring me to a market like Tauranga.
And how does the Bay compare?
Oh, it's very different. I'm not originally a Manawatu girl, but I mean, the people down there are amazing, and it was an alright place to live, but the Bay compared to Manawatu is just, it's just so beautiful. Like, looking around, it's just so pretty. And yesterday we actually went out sailing in the afternoon. I was very lucky, and I just can't get over how beautiful this place is. I feel very spoilt to be living here, so very lucky.
You were voted Best News Broadcaster in 2011. I mean, that's a
huge thing to achieve. How did that feel?
Yeah, it was huge. It was really awesome winning that. So won the on-air category, and then I won the overall category with the New Zealand Radio Awards. So it was huge. I was so stoked to win it, and obviously you know how much work we put in. So it was definitely good to get a bit of recognition. But yeah, it was just awesome, and it's been a great industry. I couldn't think of anyone better to work in.
So are you a bit of a city girl? Because you actually did throw up recently while shearing a sheep.
Yeah, I am. Like, I grew up in Wellington in between the Kapiti Coast, so I guess I'm a bit of a city girl, never lived in the country. But yeah, we did this challenge for Oropi School before we went there, down in Red Square, and we did this shear a sheep, scull a bear, eat a pie competition, and I first did it and I sheared the sheep. That was fun, and then Brenda decided he wanted to shear the sheep, so I had to do something, either eat a cold pie or scull a ginger beer. It was ginger beer. I was like, no, I'm not eating a cold pie, that's disgusting. So I sculled the ginger beer, and it was not good. I could not keep it down, and I power chucked in front of 50 plus people.
It was hilarious.
In Red Square. It was quite funny, although a little bit embarrassing. I just ran away laughing. It was very funny.
And More FM always been a really big supporter of the local sports clubs and that kind of thing. So what are you guys going to be doing at the Magic game?
Yeah, we are. So when they have local games, we're going to be there in Tauranga, and also a few people are going to be able to perform at it, which will be really cool. So we're looking forward to getting amongst that. It'll be awesome.
And Jazz Fest is coming up just around the corner, and it's a huge event for Tauranga. So what are you guys going to be doing there?
We're going to be down on the Strand. There's going to be a couple of stages set up down there, so we'll be having a bit of fun with the artists and just enjoying the jazz. I mean, it's going to be an amazing weekend for Tauranga.
What's been your favourite moment so far?
Probably the Mills Reef concert a few weeks back, the More FM Summer Vineyard Tour, Op Shop and Missy Higgins and Aradna. Amazing show, and great crowd too, so it was good to get amongst it that day.
That was my first day here. We did that. It was awesome. First day up here since I transferred from Manawatu, and we were on stage and having fun, and it was an awesome way to get introduced to the Bay. So yeah.
And what's been your favourite moment so far here in the Bay?
Oh, it's been so busy. I think I enjoyed that a lot as well. What else have we done? We've done
Yachting
so
was
much.
pretty good.
Yachting out yesterday. We went out in the harbour on the boat. That was beautiful. I just love living here and like going to the mount, and we're living over at the beach as well. So it's just been awesome. It's been so busy, but we're having a lot of fun.
And
so
she's about to learn to surf
I know.
too.
I'm going to learn to surf. Now I'm living at the beach. I figure I should learn to surf, so I'm going to give it a go.
And how are you guys coping with the mornings? You'd be used to the morning.
I was working breakfast in Manawatu, and Brendan was working in Taupo on breakfast. So we're both early morning people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good. We're used to it, but it never gets easy. You know, getting up at 4 a.m. every day, it's hard. But
The afternoons
you get a
are
little
the
nana nap,
worst.
get a little nana nap in, or else you won't, like, seriously, you'll be falling asleep during the news. It's terrible. So
And I fall asleep anywhere.
yeah,
Like, really, I do.
He's got a wee problem with that. But no, it's a lot of fun. Like, I couldn't think of a better job. So the early mornings, yeah, it's hard, but you kind of put that aside because we're doing an awesome, amazing, like, people would dream to do this. So we're very lucky, and we recognise that.
Check out their Facebook page, and of course you can hear them in the mornings on 93.4 FM. That is the news for today and this week. We really want you to be involved, so like us on Facebook and let us know your views. If you have news including your own video and photos, go to our website and hit upload. Thanks for joining us. I will be back next week with more guests from in and around the regions. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.